I was saved when I was 9 years old at Willow Baptist Church. Now, as a 9-year-old, you don't fully understand the scope of what being saved is and salvation. And I still believe I was saved, and I had that. But as a teenager, I kind of, what teenagers do, kind of drifted away and that kind of stuff. And then I got married and got back in church. Well, I stayed in church the whole time, but got serious about church as I got married and family come along and got more serious about that. But God really began to work with me probably 15 years ago, I guess it was, maybe 20. He really started to work on me about what He's done for me, the price He paid for me, and the grace that He shows me. And that's what's about for me now. And that's my testimony. I don't have no glamorous testimony like doing some revelation. It was kind of raised in church, so I knew church, but I didn't know serving Christ until later on in life. Okay, I have 2 boys. One oldest named Nick. He's 40, be 41 this year. And my youngest is Clint, and he will be 33 this year. I have to do math real quick. He'll be 33 this year. Both of them are Christians, but have kind of drifted away. But God's good. God's in control. I still talk to them often about being in church and being in God's will, and I think they still think about it, but they're just not living it just yet. But my wife's a great woman. She's put up with me for as long as she have. We're going to be celebrating our 45th anniversary here soon, and she's put up with me a long time, and she's a saint, is what I would say. Okay, this is a tough one because I've been at First Southern for over 40 years, and I got a lot of memories in First Southern Baptist Church. It's hard to name my favorite because I've had so many, but the one that just amazes me most, it's so funny, is my wife's pregnant with her first child, and we're sitting in church on Sunday night, and he's moving around in her belly, and the knots and all that stuff's going on, and I just made a note with a scrap piece of paper and said, I want out of here. It's sitting in church. I put that on there. And she went into labor that night. So that's just a memory of church. It's not a spiritual thing or anything like that, but it's still a memory. But I've had so many at First Southern, seen so many good things, and some not good things, but nonetheless, God is great, and He's working in our church. Well, that's another good question. As you know, recently been voted in as a volunteer pastor of discipleship. The goal I'd like to see for our church is to be highly more involved in making disciples. We need to have more disciples because the field's white with harvest, and we need more laborers. And so that's my goal for the church, is try to build disciples in this new role that I'm in. So that's what I see a goal for our church is, to make more disciples and to gather the sheep, as Scripture would say. That's tough. There are so many great Bible stories. It's just hard to pick one out. That's a tough one. I guess Peter's, this is another kind of odd thing, but Peter's denial of Jesus Christ And Jesus' acceptance of Peter after his denial is one of my favorite stories, because I relate to Peter. He's just my favorite disciple because Jesus showed amazing grace to Peter after he had denied him and all the stuff that Peter went through, and Jesus still said, "You're the rock. You're going to be. Your name is Simon." Bar Jonah is what he called him. And then Peter's just one of my favorite disciples, and the story of Peter is one of my greatest stories in the Bible. I have two. This one's an easy one for me because I have two. Jeremiah 29:11, it says, and I probably won't say this verbatim, but it says that I have plans for you in the future to prosper you. And that's one of my favorites, and that's not all of it, but Jeremiah 29:11. And my second favorite is John 15:16. It says, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you to go and bear fruit. And that's the one that really sends, I got cold chills now thinking about it. It gives me cold chills because he chose me, sinner that I am, rebellious as I've been in my life, and he still chose me. That's an amazing story for me. Oh, that's just amazing. I mean, you probably don't have enough film for that. Like I said, when I was in my 30s, I was coming to church, but church was just what you do. And over the years, I taught Sunday school for many, many years and not taking it very seriously as I should. But I was asked to take on another class, and God began to work on me and bring scriptures to my mind. It says, if you're a teacher, you're held to a higher standard. And I started thinking about that, and I started to get real serious about what I was doing. And he began to work on me and grow me and use me in different areas. And as I said before, now, I'm a deacon, a trustee. Now I'm a volunteer pastor. God is just using me because I love him. That's why. That's the main reason, more than anything. I would say yes, he's always been a part of my life. Have I always been as close to him? No. That middle years, I more or less went through the motions, but like I said before, in the last 20 or so, he's everything to me. He's number one to me, and it can't be any other way. I was just listening to one today, old Christian song, old. I get two, one modern, one old. Sure thing. My old one is probably two. There's two of those. The King is Coming and How Great Thou Art, and then the new one, the more modern one, is God's Been Good, and I cry every time I hear it. To a believer, I would say, be strong and courageous, as it says in Samuel. Be strong and courageous. Because the devil doesn't like believers, and he's going to make it as hard on them as he can. And be strong and courageous. That's what I would say to a believer. Now, to a non-believer, they won't understand that. I would say Jesus will bring peace. Jesus will forgive you for everything you've done. Trust me, I know. He will forgive you for everything you've done, and make Him the Lord of your life. And life will start to make sense when you do that. Because when you don't have Jesus, life is struggle. But when you have Jesus, life is peace. Life makes sense. The dots start to connect, and everything starts to fall into place when you have Jesus.